Hello and welcome to my channel. This is Lisa with Lisa's Faith and Budget Planning channel. I'm excited to be here today. I'm excited to be here with you getting into my weekly check-in. We are weekly check-in for week 2 of the budget, which is the 7th through the 14th. I'm counting the 14th for now as a no spend day, but I know I'm going to spend later because we usually spend every Friday on something. So I am doing this budget a little early. I normally would have done it on the day after and then have all the numbers, but we are going to be out of the house all day on Friday or on Saturday for a birthday gift my son got, and we're excited about that. So let's go ahead and get into the budget. We're going to be going over all the transactions and the reasons why we spent. So let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, the weekly check-in. As you see, we already did the first 7 days of the weekly check-in. We were in the negative the whole time. Just about every category. The only positive was an even amount in copay and unbudgeted. I'm not doing unbudgeted this month. I'm doing things totally different because I have no money sitting in the checking account as cash left over to use as a buffer to cover any additional costs that I didn't budget for. So I usually do include that. I don't have a specific number for it amount every month, but if something comes up, that's where I go first. Right now, everything is in savings. So if I have to spend money, which I have had to this past week, and I'll show you that transaction at the end of the video, because it has nothing to do with the checking account, but I am going to go over all the categories and set up week 3 and see where we are in the budget. Next month, I will be doing things a little bit different. I'm not going to budget a specific amount every week. I'm just going to start with the total at the beginning of the month and work my way down throughout the month and divide by each week that's left in order to figure out, do I have enough for the rest of the week? So it's going to be a little bit different just because all of our cash for our spending for the entire month is at the beginning of the month. It's summer, so much is happening, and it's hard to budget for this time period. It really, really is. You kind of have to budget really, really high or save up a lot for summer because you feel excited about the warm weather. You want to get out, you want to do all the activities and have all the fun. And right now our resources are a lot more limited than they used to be, so we just don't have that flexibility. And yeah, savings is taking a little bit of a hit. So that's okay. We are adjusting and moving forward. So we are working with $306.33 with grocery household. We are working with $43.02 for restaurants. Obviously, we blew that out of the water. Yeah, that just doesn't. This month is all messed up for restaurants. And so when we get excited and have events like birthday parties, we had a birthday party this past week, and family gatherings and things changing, like parents moving to your hometown. Yeah, you're going to go out to eat more than you expect. Miscellaneous. I did have money left over, $13.57. We were over in gas, but that's okay. I still have gas in the tank. I probably won't fill it up again till week 3, and I may not have to fill it up for the rest of the month, so it should be okay for the rest of the month. Copay, we are actually a little bit over. I'll show you why in a minute, but the rest of the month should take care of it, and it'll be back in the black, which is why I want to switch from budgeting a specific amount every week to the entire amount I need at the beginning of the month, what I spent, what the balance is, and then make a note how much I have available for the rest of the month each week. And I will show you that next month when that happens. Okay, so I have written down everything that I've got transactions for here on these the week of the 8th through the 14th. So far, again, we'll probably have some more transactions today. I will count that as part of next week's weekly check-in, and that'll be fine. I just don't have time to wait and get the video up, so we're doing it a little bit early. Essentially, we're doing it a day early. So, grocery household. First one I have here is Amazon for $59.99. I'm sorry, $52.99. And that was a filter, a water filter for the refrigerator. It's one of those long Frigidaire water filters. I try not to use off-brand just because every time I try, they never work right and they mess up things, and I don't like that. So we're not going to do that anymore. So I bought the Frigidaire one and replaced the water filter. Previous weeks I was replacing the air filter, so they kind of expire at the same time. At least that's what my refrigerator tells me. So I don't know how I feel about the refrigerator telling me things like this. All right, for the Myers at $141.36. That was groceries that I got to get lunch drinks for my husband throughout the week. He takes a bottle of Milo sweet tea with him, just one of the single serving bottles. And I needed to get milk and breakfast stuff, some snack stuff, and I needed Tide Pods. I like using the Tide Pods, and some bounce sheets and stuff like that. So it was just an overall household grocery for laundry and snacks and things that we typically keep in the kitchen. I bought multiples of things, like they had a sale, we buy two for a certain price on ketchup, and it was cheaper than I normally spent, so I did that for the same amount of ounces and just an extra thing of orange juice and stuff like that. So that was a typical grocery run. It's definitely getting more and more expensive every time I go grocery shopping. So I'm not sure if I'm going to have to switch stores or find another thing, or if I can just keep it where I'm at, because I really like my grocery store. $8.32. This was a supplement. Well, I think it was a supplement. Yes, this was a big bottle of Tums. It was actually cheaper than the grocery store I go to. So I ordered it online. It was a large bottle. I apparently need Tums pretty regularly lately. And then for the rest of the family as well. And then 1948, we take melatonin as we sleep for 3 milligrams at night. And my sons have been taking it for years to help them fall asleep. And then it helps them once they fall asleep, they stay asleep. And that's what the issue was. They weren't falling asleep easily. So they have to have a bottle in the house so that they can have that at night. If not, it's a bad night for them. And I take them as well as I think my husband takes them as well. So we just buy multiple bottles and have a couple upstairs, a couple downstairs. $14.30 right here. This was 2 deodorant sticks for my son. He uses the Dove men's deodorant. An antiperspirant or whatever it's called. I don't know. Anyways, there's a specific one that he uses. That's what I bought. And I went ahead and picked that up for him because he said he was out while we were out and about yesterday. So that was all the groceries that we bought this week. And let's go ahead and total this up. Okay, so we spent $236.40. Making sure there's no glare on there. $236.40. Alrighty. So the next thing that we have, why does this say 40? I apologize. I had to do that again. I knew that answer was wrong. It is $236.45. Okay. I saw my notes and it said 45. I went, oh no, something's not right. So I went ahead and recalculated and I got the right number this time. So now restaurants. Moving on to that. We have Burger King here. So my husband and my father-in-law went out, and I think I got a sandwich too, to run some errands. I think they went out and got my son a birthday card because my father-in-law forgot to pick one up before he came to our house. And my son's birthday was on Sunday. It was a lot of fun. He's been building Lego kits. I'll post pictures of those Lego kits in the the community tab, so you can see his best birthday ever, which is every birthday. And he loves Lego kits, so that's what he built. And but my husband, while they were out, they just picked up lunch and brought me a sandwich. I'm like, okay. And I knew they were going to do it. And when my father-in-law's in town, we always buy. We don't make him pay for anything. He did it our entire marriage. We've been married 27 and a half years, but he did it every time we went out and he came to visit, or we were on vacation together or whatever. And a few years back, we just stopped letting him pay. And we're like, we've got this. Please stop. Because he's now on a fixed income. And we want to make sure he has plenty of money. And so if we spend a little extra, is because he spent extra on us. So we don't mind spending the extra money. It's just hard to plan for it because we never know what we're going to be doing. So the next thing we have is 7301. And yeah, this day was Jack's birthday. We did DoorDash delivery. I actually signed up for the DoorDash. It's $9.99 a month or something like that. $120 a year or whatever. And for the Dash Pass to get certain things. And I think we use it enough that we can make our money back. I'm going to see how this month goes, and then I will consider whether we're going to keep using the Dash Pass or cancel it before it starts charging. So that is something we are thinking about. But if I had not used the Dash Pass, this would have been $111 for everything that everybody wanted to order. And yeah, that didn't include drinks or anything. That was just the food. So it's pretty sad. So 7301, we got the dinner delivered there to our house, and the reason we did that is, one, none of us wanted to drive, and two, my father-in-law does not go out as often as he used to physically. He uses a cane and things like that, and so it's hard for him to get out. So this is the one treat he asks for, is Sunnies every time he comes, and he loves our barbecue, so that's what we do there. And then McDonald's. My husband, when he was working on Tuesday, he went to McDonald's, and him and a coworker, and he's training somebody. He's training this other coworker, and they were using the McDonald's Wi-Fi sitting in the restaurant, and he felt so bad sitting there. He got a couple drinks and something to eat for them, and it was 9:42, and this was a really bad day for me. So I was like, can we just go out? I can't deal. Sometimes I can't. Depression hits hard with me sometimes, or overwhelmed feelings. I think I was reeling from the fact that my son turned 20. He is my baby. I talk about my sons as if they're children, small children. They're actually adults, and I try to say that, but they're not typical adults. They're autistic, so they still feel like children to me. So anyways, I was like, can we go out to eat? He said yes. So we went to King Buffet and had dinner there at the buffet. So it's one of his favorite places to go. Okay, so let's go ahead and total this up and see how much eating out we're over for this week, and move forward from there. All right, we spent $152.69. We're going to be over for the month. I know we are. If there's not money left over in the other categories to cover it, then I will be pulling what the extra is from savings and paying the credit card from savings. And I'll show you that at the end of the month once we get settled the final numbers. So we have miscellaneous, where I didn't spend anything in miscellaneous. I'm very happy about that. We didn't have gas transaction this week. We didn't have any unbudgeted. But I did have some medical copays, and they are a pharmacy purchase here for my medication, $11.86, $4.16 for me as well here. They were just, I don't know why, didn't do it all at one time. And then the last one was my son's medication for $13.54. So those are the total medications. Now I'm going to be over for copay, but this is the last of the copay that I think we have for the rest of the month for medications. We have no doctor's appointments or anything to pay for. We did at the beginning of the month, but nothing after this point. So we should be good as a for the entire month. There should be money left over in that. So I won't be spending out of this category anymore after this. So let's total this up. All right, we spent $29.56. And that is what we have for today as far as all the spending categories. Now I have a couple bills here. I'll go ahead and total those up, but that is to give me the total for paying back the credit card. That's $24.92. That's our YouTube premium, and $7.41, and that gave us $32.33. All right, now here is the bills. I checked them off right here, same amounts. And let's go back to the weekly check-in. So here is the weekly check-in part of my workbook. And we're going to put down these numbers. So grocery household, $236.45. Restaurants, $152.69. I think we're already like over $50 some in the hole. So, including next week's. So miscellaneous, we didn't spend anything. Gas, we didn't spend anything. And copay, we spent $29.56. I only had $25, but that will come out in the wash later as it adjusts for the rest of the month. Again, 0 for unbudgeted. Now, if I had, the typical $500 I try to keep in the checking account as a buffer, I would have used it to pay for some transaction over here, but because I didn't, I had to take it out of savings, which is why it didn't go to the unbudgeted. Normally I would just put it under unbudgeted, but we don't have the flexibility in our budget anymore because of the reduction of pay that my husband took earlier this year for the new job that he has, which he absolutely loves. He absolutely loves, and I love that he loves his job, and we're just readjusting ourselves. And it's going to take us a few months to start readjusting our spending habits down in order to have the extra money. I haven't been doing that, and we haven't been doing it as a couple, so that's the new thing we've got to start really working on. So that is that. I'm going to move this out of the way, bring in the calculator, and we're going to go ahead and do the balances. I've already paid everything. That's what these check marks mean. I already made a payment, so I know how much I paid the credit card, and we're just going to go through the numbers and I'll show you what we paid the credit card. So I had $306.33 minus the $236.45, and that left us $69. What I'm glad is we didn't have any over budgets. Well, we did last week, but not that we're caught up, and we have some money left over in the budget for grocery household. So I am happy about that. $43.02 minus the $152.69. All right, so that's 109. Wrong pen. I like to use a red pen when I know I'm over budget. 109.67. I'm okay with it, but not okay with it. And what I mean by that is just, I know the reason why we did it. Family was in town, special birthday party, all kinds of things there. And I already knew, I just didn't know how much it was going to be for the month. And because I divided out per week, it's going to be over until it kind of gets caught up again. And I don't know if we'll get caught up again this month. So I'm worried we'll be over in the restaurants for the entire month. But I will use savings, because that's the consequence of overspending in a certain category, in order to make sure that stays paid. All right. We have $13.57, which is great. We're still in the black there. We're still in the red for $27.08. Didn't even look like an 8. There we go. Not much better. And then 25 minus 29.56, and that gives us a negative $4.56 for the copay. $0.00 for unbudgeted. Now, what we did spend that I would have had unbudgeted was a necessity. We just didn't know when we were going to buy it, and we decided to go ahead and buy it the other day. So I'll explain that in a minute. Every week I have a specific amount that I planned. Normally it works out until I get changes like holidays or family and things like that, and we've had a lot of that going on this year. So I've got $400 per week and $150 or $400 for groceries, $150 for restaurants, $75 for miscellaneous, $50 for gas, $25 for copay every week for the for 4 weeks, and then what's left over covers the last 2 or 3 days, depending on how the calendar falls. So that is where we're at now, and I'm going to go ahead and add up what we have. So I have $400 I planned for this week, and I have $69.88. Not that I need a calculator for that, but I did it anyway. $469.88. Now here I have $150 minus the $109.67, and that gives us $40.33. All right, and so the next thing I have is miscellaneous. So miscellaneous is $75. I actually lowered this. It normally was $100 or more. It was almost as much as the restaurants category, but we have not been spending as much, so I have been dropping that. See, $75, and I still have $13.57, and that gives us, oops, $88.57, and then gasoline is $50 a week plus or minus the 27. It's very sloppy. 27.08. All right, so that leaves us with $22.92, and then co-pays is how much a week? $25 minus the $4.56. There we go. That gives us $20.44. Budget is always $0. Now that I've checked in for the week, these are all transactions that are on my credit card that affect my checking account. I pay my credit card every week. I pay it off every week with my checking account. I have all my spending money and all my bill money in our checking account. We have one checking account where everything comes in, and one checking account, that same checking account is where I send everything out from. So if I'm moving to savings, or if I'm moving to sinking funds, whether a bill comes out of the checking account or whether a bill goes onto the credit card and then I pay it with the checking account, this is how I track it. So that is the weekly check-in. I'm set up for week 3. This check-in affects the checking account. Everything you see here on my channel is the checking account. So I will show you that. On here, I do a monthly budget that affects my checking account. Here's the math for all that. I have paycheck 1, which is my next video, because my husband got paid today as well, so I have to run the numbers for that, and I can't do that until I do this, which affects my checking account, paycheck 2, which affects my checking account, until I close out the weekly check-in, because when I do the weekly check-in, I take the grocery household, this one, week 1 and week 2, total it together, and that's where I get my number for the paycheck 1 and what the difference is between the two. So that's how I have that. This affects my checking account, and so I have to make sure I track everything in order to pay everything. Now, when I put it on a credit card, I track it on here or in my bills. So it's either in my spending or it's in my bills. Those are the two places where I put that stuff. So you saw me look at my bills earlier. I had a couple bills to pay. I'm going to show you my transaction log that I use as well. This is a running log that matches my credit card statement on the bank on a daily basis. Every day I write in it. Every day I put whatever transactions are in there, and I move forward to the next day, and then I write down, and then I make payments and things like that. So I'm actually going to write and show you where I make a payment. I already made the payment for today's credit card spending. So I'm going to actually total everything but this. We haven't talked about that. Everything but this. So I got to pay back the credit card. I'm going to move this out of the way for just a second. Just because my weekly check-in is done does not mean I'm done. I still have to pay the credit card. I put everything on that credit card. I got to pay it back. I owe them money. And like I said, I've already made the payment, but we're going to go through numbers on how I discover the payment amount. The payment amount I needed to make are all these transactions right here. So I have $236.45 plus the $152.69 plus the $29.56 and plus the bills that were $32.33. So that gives us $451.03. And that's exactly what I paid the credit card today, which means it takes everything back to zero except for this week. And I will explain why. All right, let's look at my transaction log so you can get a full picture of everything that I do. If you just came for the weekly check-in, I'm done with that. This is me doing my credit card log. This is what I continue to do after I'm done with the video. But I thought I'd show you today. Here's everything I've put on the credit card. These highlighters match exactly what my stickers are over here. But there's also this darker blue that represents bills. And then these two gray items here. Okay, so this is my spending tracker. This tracks everything that's on a credit card. I have my date, I have the amount, I have the description, what I actually owe, and what available credit I have on my credit card. Writing this down and looking at these numbers on a daily basis keeps me from going, oh, I have all this credit, I can buy all these things and worry about it later. The one thing I've learned, later never comes. Just doesn't. It just does not. So if you're going to do it, be strategic about it and pay it back. I haven't paid actual interest fees in 3 years, 4 years that I've been doing budgeting. And whenever it was I paid my credit card off in full, I have not had any interest fees. If I had an interest charge where I had to pay interest, I would have that line item in here, and I've not done that in I don't know how long. So that is what I have here. I'm going to zoom in so you can see this page, especially here at the bottom. All right, so these are the transactions. This was the last payment I made that brought it back to zero. So when I did my weekly check-in, you're going to see all of these are the same transactions that I had on the previous page on the calendar. The only thing that's not on the calendar is this right here, the YouTube and Premium, that's what that is, and HP Ink. So I get HP Instant Ink every, and I have ink mailed to me when it runs low. So it's a very good and easy program, and I save a lot of money doing that. So, because I like to print my own stuff. So here we are. We have two gray line items here. One for $190.80 for 511. And then we have $195 for A1A mini storage. Okay, the 511s I paid for with our home fund and our saving account. So when you see me close out the sinking funds and savings tracker later, you're going to see that $190.80 charge here. That's where I decided to take the money from, just because there was no other place to put it. There was no buffer in the checking account. I don't have any money left over in there. So I had to pull it from somewhere. And when you pull it from your savings, it does hurt. I am not upset that we did this. I think it was a great investment. My husband has clothing from 511 before. He uses them for work. That is what we got. It was 2 pair of pants. So they were $95 a piece. For the pants, and the reason being is they're high quality, and he needed a specific type of material that was very light and could help him endure the hot summer months. It was already 90 degrees yesterday here, and by the time the evening hit, and that was, it's pretty hot, 90 degrees. So we haven't had 90 degrees regularly yet, but we're starting to get into those months when it's really, really hot. My husband's part of his job is to be outside inspecting quarries. He's a mine inspector for the state of Kentucky, but most of the places he goes to are above ground and quarries. So we decided to go ahead and invest in a couple pair of pants that will help keep him cool because he has an overheating problem personally. So I do apologize for all the extra information here, but it is important that he has something to keep him cool and all of that. And we really like that. And there you go. So we went ahead and purchased those. I went ahead and made the payment because I knew it was not coming out of the checking account. It had to come out of savings. Now the A1A mini storage. My parents are moving here where I live. By the end of this month, they will be in their house, like on the 28th or so. So with that being said, $195 for a 10 by 30 storage unit. That was including the $25 deposit that we needed in case damages or need to be cleaned out or whatever. It gets refunded as long as they're satisfied and we're satisfied. I'm like, okay, whatever. So we got them the storage unit yesterday. They're not going to be here for another week, but we had some of their stuff already up here. So I went ahead and put it in the storage unit. It was really nothing much. It was like a very small handful of stuff, but we did put it over there, and it's all set. We wanted to make sure they didn't run out of storage units before my parents got here. So we just rented it a week early before we needed it. My dad is going to be paying me this back, which is why it's in gray. So I'm going to have $195 carryover until my dad pays me back. Now, when it comes to people and money and doing things like this, my philosophy is don't expect it back. Don't do it unless you're willing to take the hit for it. So with my dad, I love taking care of him. I have no problem helping my mom and dad with this. And so I'm willing to pay for it if they don't. My husband's willing to pay for it if they don't. We love them. This is just part of taking care of them. But if they are wanting and willing to pay the money back, then I will go ahead and do that. And my dad's one of those ultra responsible people that he does not want to not pay someone back for something he's borrowed. So I'm 99% sure he'll give me the money back. But even if he never did, I don't really care. We would just take it out of savings. It'll be fine. We do, kind of take a temperature gauge of people and make sure if we're going to give that we can afford the loss or it's something God guided us into. So we're very careful about that. We don't just give all the time, anywhere, any day. But this $195 will be on my credit card until my dad pays me. And after a month or so, if he still hasn't had the opportunity, which I know he will, it'll go away regardless. So I'm fine with that. But since I did make a payment, we're going to go ahead and put that down. Today is the 15th? I wrote the wrong dates down. All right. These were the 13th. I've been a day off all week. I don't know what's wrong with me. 13th. And today is the 14th. So I'm going to make a payment. I always put a big old plus sign right here. $400. And as you can see the number right here, that is exactly the payment I made. $451.03. And that's exactly what I had on my tracker here that I needed to pay. And these numbers matched, which means technically I brought it back to zero for our spending. I did not bring the count zero because I have something sitting on there, but that is okay. All right, payment. And then I put the balance that I owe, which is this $195. And then I write exactly how much the amount is on my credit card available. So I take $24,000, which is my max limit, minus the $195 that's still sitting on there, and that leaves me $23,805. Now, I do know in the past when I had this card completely maxed out all the time, 00, there we go. I would make a $460 some monthly payment, and only $200 of it went to the principal. I don't want to do that again, ever. So never, ever do that again. I am not paying the bank thousands of dollars a year just to hold the end, just allow me to leave all this credit on stuff that I ate or our family ate, and or bought. No, I'm just not doing that again, because then I'm paying triple, quadruple the amount of what we actually spent. So that is the weekly check-in. This is my spending tracker here. Whoops, wrong direction. And this is how I keep my credit card in check, is this ledger right here. This just tells me what I spent. Basically, your budget should do a couple things. It should keep you in line and give you your boundaries on what you can and can't spend. And a budget should also give you trends on how you are spending. Do you have no spend days? What days do you spend the most? Are you an everyday spender? And watching and seeing that can help you with the traffic flow of what you're planning to do and how to budget. So it just makes sense to look at your budget and see your trends and find out what information it can tell you. You're mining for information in order to understand your own behavior of spending or your family's behavior of spending. What is your attitude towards it? Are you a non-thinker? You can just swipe your card and just keep going? Or do you think things through as you're making every purchase, which is exhausting. I totally agree, which is why sometimes we go over in certain categories. And you know what? It happens. So that is that. So that is the weekly check-in. I hope you enjoyed the video and the little extra with the transactions in the back. And if you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of my videos, please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Have an amazing and blessed day. Bye.
Maybe I never knew what I really wanted, but looking back I can see it's all